We've been working on this attraction for a little bit over 3 years now, and it was an idea that actually originated with Jimmy himself, as he has said a number of times. When he returned to NBC back to host Late Night with Jimmy Fallon when he took over in 2009, literally one of the first things he did was call Universal Creative, because he thought, okay, I'm part of NBC Universal again, they have the theme parks, I would love to do a ride. So as he tells the story, he had a video conference call with our president, Mark Woodbury, Thierry Koo, some of our senior creative leaders, and he said, I want to do a ride, maybe we could do something in New York where I'm taking people around the city and it'll just be really fun. And of course, our people, as he tells the story, we're kind of like, thank you, Mr. Fallon, we'll be in touch. Do you need Harry Potter tickets? Is there anything else we can do for you? But then, having said that, one of the things that we did immediately was we made him the host of our tram tour, our world-famous tram tour at Universal Studios Hollywood, which debuted, I think, in 2011. So he's actually been part of the Universal Parks and Resorts family for a few years now. But then flash forward a couple of years, and as we often do, especially at this property, we felt that it came time to refresh Twister, Ride It Out, which of course had replaced Ghostbusters. So every generation or so, we try to reinvent the experience here. And that time came up for Twister, and we thought, well, that's the front door to our New York backlot. This might actually be a great opportunity to do something with Jimmy. And of course, it helped that he was the #1 rated host of The Tonight Show by that point. So in 2014, we really got rolling on what this experience would become. And one of the things that was really important to us was to try to find the right story to tell. I jokingly said that this was my first assignment with Universal Creative, and when I got that phone call, I was all excited. I thought, oh, I'm going to hear, what name am I going to hear? Harry Potter, King Kong. And they said, Jimmy Fallon. And I said, what about him? And they said, well, he's going to get his own ride, and we need you guys to figure it out. And I'm like, we're going to do what now? It's like late night talk show doesn't necessarily scream thrill ride to people. So it was really important to us to try to come up with an experience that felt organic, that felt like it emerged from the world of Jimmy Fallon and The Tonight Show. So we tossed a number of ideas around, a number of different stories, a number of different scenarios. We partnered, collaborated very heavily with Jimmy and his team of writers in New York. They've been instrumental in every single part of this process. And it was really difficult to try to land on something that really felt right. So as you might imagine, our entire team probably watched hundreds of hours of DVR Tonight Show to try to figure this out. And there was one weekend where we were all just sitting around really kind of analyzing the show, and all of a sudden a pattern started to emerge, and we thought, wait a minute. The race, the wacky celebrity races that he does with a lot of his celebrity pals on the show. It gives us a vehicle, it gives us motion, it gives us a crazy route. So we came in that Monday morning and went to our leadership and said, it's a race through New York with Jimmy Fallon, only this time he's racing the entire audience for the Tonight Show Cup. That, of course, is inspired by Hemsworth Cup on the show. Over time, he came to race Liam and Chris Hemsworth probably more often than any other celebrity. And Jimmy can be a very competitive guy, to say the least. And that gave rise to the Hemsworth Cup. So for us, it's the Tonight Show Cup, and it's the ultimate prize. And instead of racing around Studio 6B and the adjacent corridors, we blow it out so that it's a race through the entire city of New York. On the street, on the water, in the air, and even beyond. So we went up to New York, we pitched that to Jimmy, they loved it, and we were kind of off to the races from there. And then the other thing that we very consciously did is we made New York a literal, true co-star of the show. We get a lot of international guests here at Universal Orlando, and as you might imagine, The Tonight Show doesn't air in all of those markets. But New York City is something that pretty much transcends all borders. It's one of the greatest cities in the world with a lot of landmarks, so we kind of really leaned into that quite heavily. So even if you're not necessarily familiar with who Jimmy Fallon is, you're going to get to see Times Square, the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building, all of the sights and sounds and smells, make of that what you will, of New York City. And then the other thing that was really important to us, I mentioned that this opportunity came up because we're talking about the front door of the New York area of our backlot. So obviously this ride was going to be housed in 30 Rock. You know, one of the things that Jimmy famously did when he took over the show was return it to New York from Los Angeles, where it had been for many decades under Johnny Carson and Jay Leno. And he returned it to Studio 6B, which is actually where Johnny broadcast from back in the day before he moved into beautiful downtown Burbank. And of course, Studio 6B is an historic 30 Rockefeller Plaza, is our headquarters of NBC, and it's really an icon in its own right. So one of the things that was very important to us, and you can see it all around you now, was bringing that landmark to life for people. You know, just because it's a TV talk show and not a huge movie franchise doesn't mean that we wanted to treat it with any less deference. For us, it was just as important to create a lush environment with a rich attention to detail as it would be if you're creating Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley or anything else. So that was something that was really important to us. It also helps with your corporate masters, you know, when you're going to slap their logo on the side of the building, and it makes perfect sense because it's part of the story that we're telling. So I hope that's something that our guests really take away from this, and some of the sort of anecdotal feedback we've already received is that people walk in here and ooh and ah because this really does feel much like 30 Rock does, and many of our guests will not have an opportunity to go to New York, go to 30 Rock, and even less likely experience a taping of The Tonight Show. So that's the experience that we're trying to give to people here. And it all begins at the front door. We have the iconic Art Deco marquee that we reproduced from 6th Avenue, the brand new one where Jimmy gets his own marquee for The Tonight Show. He was really excited about that. It was clearly the right choice for our front door. And then guests will come down a corridor where they start to really experience the Art Deco splendor of 30 Rock. Along one wall, we trace the evolution of the NBC logo, so guests can get an appreciation for our rich history dating back to our debut, obviously as a radio company. And then on the opposite wall, we have images from some of the classic TV shows that correspond to the decades to really create a sense of the rich history of what we've done in television. It starts in the 50s with the Today Show. NBC invented both the morning format and the late night format. Proceeds on into the 1960s with Bonanza. NBC was a pioneer in color television, and Bonanza, in addition to being a classic Western, was one of the first TV shows that was produced in color to take advantage of that in the 60s. 1970s, of course, it's all about Saturday Night Live, which would obviously be invented that format. In the 80s, it's all about Miami Vice, because I can't think of a better show that captures the look and tacky feel of the 80s than Miami Vice. And then in the 90s, we have Law and Order, which I believe is one of 109 versions of that show that Dick Wolf has created for us over the years. And then guests come into this lobby where they receive their color-coded ticket, which is part of our virtual queuing system. It's all color-coded, and then based on the color of the peacock, guests know when it's time to proceed upstairs for the show. This is something brand new that we're pioneering. We've kind of jokingly referred to this attraction as a big science experiment for all of us at Universal, for us in creative, for operations, for entertainment. As you're about to see, we really wanted to approach things differently in order to eliminate one of the most negative parts of the theme park experience, the queue. This is going to be a queueless system. We have a virtual queue, but we're taking it a step further. It's not just a matter of returning to your appointed time and just slipping right onto the attraction. We wanted to make the anticipation of the attraction a true entertaining part of the experience. So especially when you get upstairs, there's a lot to see down here, but upstairs we have all sorts of live entertainment, which has never been done before to this extent. You're going to get to see the Ragtime Gals, and they will bring to life a number of the wonderful sketches from The Tonight Show, from not only ragtime arrangements of completely inappropriate music from the modern age to the history of rap, the history of heavy metal, the history of boy bands. All of those great musical segments from the show will come to life through the Ragtime Gals. And we have put together an absolutely unbelievable team of musical talent. I can't wait for you to see them. Because on the show, they're talented, the music works, but it's a bit, you know, it's meant to be funny. And it's certainly meant to be funny here, but they are unbelievable musicians, and I can't wait for you to experience that. They also bring to life lip sync battle, you know, so we really try, and classroom instruments, so we tried to bring the best of The Tonight Show to life for people. That also extends to hashtag the Dancing Panda. a very poorly and somewhat surly costume character who Jimmy abuses on a nightly basis, and we do too. So he'll be up there meeting and greeting with our guests, taking pictures, signing autographs, which is conveniently in the form of a hashtag. So we're really excited for what this means, I think, for the future of themed entertainment, and I think this is step one. It's something brand new. We're really excited about it, and this progressing into what we're going to do with Tapu Tapu and Volcano Bay, I think kind of signals what's to come in the future of themed entertainment as we move forward. Then you'll get to experience the ride itself, which, as we've said, is a wacky race through New York, you against Jimmy. And then you'll emerge in the cleverly titled The Tonight Shop, where you too can purchase your own hashtag The Dancing Panda costume to entertain at children's parties, weddings, and bat mitzvahs.